everyone. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. It is absolutely lovely to see so many familiar faces and some new faces too. So hello, my name is Sarah Brock. I manage the energy program at Vital Communities along with my colleague Anna Gunther, who may be new to some of you. Anna's been the one behind the scenes organizing this event for us, and you'll be hearing a lot from her today. I do just want to say, because it just feels so surreal to still be in this COVID space, that I am very aware that if this were not COVID, this would feel very different. We would all be gathering in the Marjorie Museum or at the Fireside Inn and Suites, eating dinner together and comparing notes. And this is not that. This will have to do for now. We very much hope we can be back doing that again in the spring. But in the meantime, what we planned for tonight we'll have to do. So thank you for being here. The agenda, briefly, we are going to give you just a quick snapshot of some of what we heard from Upper Valley Energy Committees when we did our annual survey this spring. Anna will share some of that with you. We sent around last week, and we'll send around again a print copy of listing some of the projects and some of what we're hearing. If you haven't read that yet, I do recommend that you do that. We are going to, before we dive into the showcase itself, do a little turn to your neighbor and say hello thing, the sort of thing we would do if we were actually sitting together, which we can't be. So we'll use the magic of Zoom to do a little meet and greet in a few minutes. Then we'll launch into the main feature of the night, which is 5 stories from 5 of you. I'm very excited to hear them. We'll have a little bit of time for questions and answers, and we hope to get you out by 8. So I hope you're comfortable in a comfortable chair, have something nice to sip while we enjoy the evening. And we will be sending out slides and links and video after tonight for any of you who are curious about that. And with that, I will hand it over to Anna Gunther.
Thank you, Sarah, and hello, everyone. As a longtime Upper Valley resident, it was a wonderful first project at Vital Communities and very heartwarming to read updates from our region's energy committees this spring and see just how much we are collectively moving forward, even in the face of so many personal and community challenges. There's a lot happening in many different towns, including some really creative projects that you'll hear about tonight. To read about all the different ongoing projects, as Sarah mentioned, we're going to encourage you to go back to that summary document that we shared by email. Projects from this past year include webinars about electrification, intertown collaborations, municipal building ongoing improvements, the e-bike lending library. Town energy committees are meeting over Zoom, organizing over email, demonstrating at farmers markets, and posting educational content online. We're seeing projects of all sizes, from small hyper-local efforts like town composting to large-scale intertown collaboration like the Regional Energy Coordinator. Some of the top projects that town energy committees reported looking to take on renewed focus and interest in for the upcoming year as opposed to the previous year are community solar power aggregation projects, climate resilience work, seeking new funding sources, the window dressers program, EV transportation projects, and connecting to low-income neighborhoods about energy efficiency. And I think between our 5 presenters, we are going to touch on all of those tonight. Though the work of the region's energy committees has been shaped largely by the pandemic over the last year, it was not solely defined by it. And we can see that in the strength and number of ongoing energy and climate projects. Some new groups found it challenging to establish themselves in pandemic circumstances, understandably, while some groups had better meeting attendance when they were able to move their meetings online. Many committees turned to social media and educational webinars as a way to reach their communities. Other common themes that I'm sure will not be unfamiliar to you included struggling to gain or to keep momentum during a pandemic, difficulty pulling volunteers together or pulling off campaigns connecting to the public just through Zoom, overall burnout and fatigue reported by volunteers. The pandemic has changed how we work together and what kind of projects that we work on. And now it seems more than ever, groups are having trouble getting and keeping volunteers to execute the projects that they can imagine. If these themes of burnout and fatigue ring true for you, I again encourage you to read that list of projects that we referenced, to see what is getting accomplished just in the Upper Valley, and to emphasize that you are not alone in feeling tired, and that in the midst of all that, you and your neighbors in this area have persevered to make progress. And I hope that you can feel proud and satisfied tonight as we celebrate our region's volunteers and their successes. There's so much we can do working at the local scale to address climate change and work towards clean energy goals, especially when we collaborate and learn from one another. With COVID, we've learned to collaborate via Zoom and email, and it's easier than ever to connect to someone 1 or 100 miles away from you. So we hope the event will inspire you and help foster those connections and collaboration moving forward. And before we dive into our presentations next, we are going to, in the spirit of our in-person roundtable, divide into the breakout rooms that Sarah mentioned into random pairs for 3 minutes. The conversation prompt for your 3 minutes are to share your name and your location and your group or organization if you're part of one, and one local project related to energy or climate that you're working on, aware of, or you would like to see yourself. And Sarah, you let me know if you need anything from me in terms of the breakout rooms.
We're ready to go. I'm going to send you into your rooms. We'll see you back in 3 minutes. Hi, Dory and Larry. It seems like you may not have managed to get to your rooms, but that's okay. Poor Susan got stuck, so I'm sending her back to the main room. I'm looking for any others who may be stuck.
I see Gary Deer in room 9 asked for help, and it prompts me to join the room. Should
Go for
I
it.
do that? Okay,
Yeah, I'll stay
do
here.
that.
Hey, Annie.
My person left, so.
Oh, that's okay. Welcome back. Yeah, I'm seeing some folks who are lost in Zoom space, but that's okay.
Well,
This was a fun experiment to see if we could do this seamlessly. I think one of the challenges is that when you do it at the beginning of a meeting, there's so many people who joined at the last minute. It like messes with the numbers and it doesn't perfectly pair people off. So I have to like fly through the list and see what's going on.
No worries.
But we only have one person who is lost and confused, but I will just have to apologize to her. Hi, Gary. I'm sorry that the breakout room didn't work for you. Are you able to hear us okay?
Oh.
No? Well, the issue I think is on your end because you're the only one having audio issues. Not that you can hear me. Hi, Steve. Sorry if you got stranded, but welcome back to the main session. We'll start up again in a couple of seconds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was just one other person in the breakout room.
No worries.
It wasn't really there.
Yeah, we had a couple of folks stranded, but that's what happens when you. Hi, Gary. Can you hear me now? All right, everyone's going to be joining us back here in a second. So you are back on.
That was pretty smooth, Sarah. Well done.
Smooth for some. I know some people got stranded, but thank you for bearing with us, trying to make this feel a little bit more
It was pretty
personal.
professional. Yeah, it worked great.
Great. All right, back to you, Anna.
Thank you. Pardon me. All right, welcome back. Hopefully that was a good 3 minutes. For those of you who didn't connect, I apologize, and we'll make up for it somehow in the chat. I just want to note all 5 presenters will be presenting back to back, and we'll have time for a group question and answer session at the end. So please type any questions into the chat as you have them, and we'll be monitoring them and keeping track. And I will be reading them out loud to the presenters at the end. We are going to start with Tom Ward from Thetford, Vermont. So I will invite Tom to unmute himself, and I will mute myself and share some slides. Some presenters have slides to share with you. Some will have a countdown timer that will help us keep time. For the folks who don't have a countdown timer, I will be interrupting myself, just giving a 1-minute warning and cutting them off to try and keep everybody's schedules on time, which so far we are on time to start at 7:12. So Tom, if you're ready.
Sure.
Take it away.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for being here. I'm Tom Ward, and I'm a member of the Thetford Energy Committee. I'm here to provide an overview of the Thetford Energy Committee's Electric Vehicle Ambassador Program. Like all energy committees, our committee has many goals we hope to meet, including transportation goals. The Thetford currently has about 45 EVs in town, and our town plan calls for Thetford to have 187 electric vehicles in town by 2025, or about 8% of all cars and light trucks. We're aiming for about 50% by 2035 and 100% no later than 2050. Since only about 2% of vehicles in Thetford are EVs, it's going to take many different strategies to reach our EV goals, and the Ambassador Program is just one such effort. To be clear from the start, I did not invent the concept of an Ambassador Program. I borrowed it. Last December, I saw Sustainable Hanover posted a survey seeking EV mentors. I thought, what a great idea, neighbors educating neighbors. At our next Energy Committee meeting, I suggested we create a Thetford EV Ambassador Program. Given the green light, I began research and quickly discovered that Harry Higgs of the Lime Energy Committee had created a very good EV buying resource posted on the Limetown website. I connected with Harry and we compared notes. Then, as I continued to conduct research for an EV overview guide to post on the Thetford Town website, excuse me, I discovered some really great EV information on the Drive Electric Vermont website. I contacted Dave Roberts of Drive Electric and asked if I could borrow some of their graphics and content. He was good, in his words, with a bit of judicious copying and pasting from our site. So I borrowed bits and pieces from Dave's website. You may be spotting a theme here. Don't reinvent the wheel. There are a lot of people willing to help you. Wanting to determine how many and what models of EVs we have in Thetford, and hoping to find some owners that would be willing to talk about their EVs with neighbors and residents, I posted a survey on our town listserv and Facebook pages. I estimate we have about 45 EVs in our town of about 1,100 households. So the 33 survey responses I received was a really high response rate. And of these 20 people, of these people, 20 said they'd be happy to be an ambassador and talk about their vehicles. It turned out that we have EVs from 11 different manufacturers and 16 different models, including one electric motorcycle. Now that I have identified some ambassadors, what were the next steps? Well, the ambassadors help edit and review the EV guide information I had created so far. They generated frequently asked questions, which I would post on the town website, and they provided testimonials regarding their EV purchase decision and ownership experience, which are now posted on the website page that lists the ambassadors and their vehicles. Some of you are likely familiar with the community workshop approach used by window dressers' window insert program. One of my goals for the ambassador program was to similarly involve as many people from the community as possible to help raise overall interest in the program and awareness of all of our energy committee programs. I was really excited by the response rate to the surveys and the enthusiastic participation with the creation of the FAQs and testimonials. The community involvement also proved to be a very effective way to get the project accomplished. Without the ambassadors' help, this would have been a much heavier lift for me, and their involvement greatly improved the quality of the program. So as a community effort, the EV Ambassador program was born. In April, I posted the EV overview, the FAQs, and a list of ambassadors in the Energy Committee section of the Thetford Town website. So far, the ambassadors have received about 20 inquiries. If this rate keeps up, we may have 75 to 100 over the year. Considering there are only about 25 EVs in town right now, and maybe 20 will be purchased by residents this year, this feels like a great success. I recently polled the ambassadors and asked them if they'd be willing to display their vehicle and talk to people about it if we hold an EV demo day. 15 of the 20 ambassadors responded within 24 hours. 12 said yes, 3 said maybe, and no one said no. So these are really engaged folks. So that's how the program was developed, where it stands now. And I want to thank Harry Higgs and Dave Roberts for their input on the program, along with all of our ambassadors. Looks like I'm way ahead of my time here, but as a finishing thought, some of you, especially some of you who are a little bit older like I am, are familiar with the name Abbie Hoffman. He wrote a book in the 70s titled Steal This Book. So please steal this program. Feel free to reach out to me if I can help your energy committee create your own ambassador program. And by the way, the EV Ambassador Program is really just the first of several ambassador programs we plan to create. We launched an e-bike ambassador program actually just last week, and we hope down the road to create programs for weatherization, home heating, home and community solar, and more. If you have information on these areas that you think would help us create these ambassador programs, please reach out to me and send it on over. As you've seen, I like to borrow things. Consider riding a bike. It's even better for the climate than driving an EV. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Tom. I actually had the timer paused a little bit, so I appreciate that you were right. The clock was actually wrong. So thank you for keeping to that. We're going to keep moving right along. Lisa, if you are ready to unmute yourself and have at it. So I introduced to you Lisa from Newbury, New Hampshire, and she's going to talk about a bunch of different projects. I'm not sure I can hear you, Lisa. Can others?
Our committee, is that right?
There we go.
There we go.
Yes.
Sorry, wrong button. Our committee was approved by the select board in last November, and we were charged with saving the town money. So I took some advice from Sarah Brock, and we started off by doing a lighting audit on all our municipal buildings. And we, at this point, have installed LED lights in 4 of them. We have, saving the town like 50%. And there's a 3-year turnaround in terms of the just making it totally not cost anything. We're also planning an HVAC audit, but we've run into a little trouble because we're not really sure what New Hampshire Saves is going to be doing, but we are starting to benchmark our different buildings using Portfolio Manager. A big project we have formed a solar subcommittee. So we've had 3 different companies come out and look at our town buildings to analyze which ones would be good for solar arrays, and our highway building looks like the most likely candidate. And we're exploring lease versus ownership options. And we hope this fall to get quotes and to select a final vendor at that time, and present to the select board a proposal, with possible by the end of this year or the beginning of next. In terms of local business, which we really wanted to reach out to, we have 3 members that are on ongoing meetings with Mount Sunapee ski area. And you might be aware that they have an Epic Promise program through Vail that is their commitment to saving energy. So we thought it'd be a great idea if they installed electric vehicle charging stations at the resort. And we got our select board to send them a letter endorsing that. And they have said that they will probably consider it next year. We hope they'll consider it next year in their programs. We're also participating in their fall festival, and that's focused on energy related initiatives. So we're meeting with the general manager about that. We have a couple of, still with local businesses, we have a couple of members who have worked with our local Hanover in New London on single-use plastics. And this is a program that the Kearsarge Climate Action has also worked with us on. And at this point, they have a film plastic collection outside and a reusable reusable bags in their produce department. In terms of community programs, which we really haven't been able to do too much in person at this time, but we're anxious to get started. So we did a survey at the town meeting in March, and we found our citizens were very interested in residential solar, community solar, electric vehicles and electric vehicle charging stations, and efficient heating and cooling in their homes, and food waste and composting. So to that end, we do have on our site through New Hampshire Saves a do-it-yourself weatherizing program on our website. And also the Kearsarge Climate Action in our area did a solarized Kearsarge program with several local solar companies presenting residential solar presentation. And we put one of those from Revision Energy on our website. So we're trying to reach our citizens that way. We're very hopeful. We did have very hopeful to start some in-person programs, and we have borrowed the idea of ambassadors. We thought we would, with our residential solar program, we would invite some of our residents who already have solar that can come and talk to other people about how it's working for them. And we hope next year to have an in-person composting program going on. We did have an old home day program that we participated in through the town. Since we hadn't been able to meet personally with a lot of the townspeople, we wanted them to get to know us and get to know our committee, and that was real successful. That was just an old home day in July, and we had a raffle for a composter there, and we had a couple. We had only one of our electric vehicles showed up, but we had the owner there who could talk to them, and then we had a quiz posted so people could we could talk to people about how to save energy. And we had a lot of the New Hampshire Saves brochures ready. So I just want to say how much I really feel so grateful for the people I have working for, the 8 people on our committee, and they're just a really dynamic bunch, and we're hoping to continue to make good progress. And I really thank Vital Communities, Sarah Brock, for getting us started. Thank you.
Anytime,
Thanks.
Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. You did a great job of sticking to time. I'm very impressed with everyone. So we're going to move right along to Marjorie. If I can invite her to unmute herself, and we can hear from Sustainable Hanover and their annual forum.
Okay. Good evening. So I'm Marjorie with Sustainable Hanover, and in May of 2017, at our annual town meeting, the Hanover residents unanimously voted to move to 100% clean energy. So each year since then, Sustainable Hanover and the town staff have planned an annual forum to report on our progress toward this goal, and equally important, to try and engage everybody in the community to join in this work. From the beginning, we recognize that the whole community must participate in order for us to reach this goal. So we reach out not only to the residents, but to the students in all our schools, to the administrators, to the college administrators and college students, to all the businesses, small and large, to DHMC, to faith-based groups, Kendall at Hanover, absolutely everybody. And we're very fortunate to have access to the electronic news announcements made through the town website, which reach more than 1,000 recipients. And we also utilize that wonderful resource from Vital Communities, the listservs, which are very effective in getting the word out. So at our first forum in March of 2018, the opening presentation described how Hanover was joining other communities and businesses across the country to move to clean energy. Our second speaker was the town manager, who specifically mentioned what the town operations were doing. And then my co-chair focused on the Sustainable Hanover projects. And following the presentation, we had a Q&A with the presenters and more town staff. There were about 50 people in attendance, and it was recorded. The slide that Anna has up there gives you a link to the presentation, I believe. And in the fall of that year, we planned ahead for the next spring's forum. We knew that we wanted to move to a larger venue to allow for more seating and also many more displays. So with a limited choice of appropriate venues in town, we've learned to reserve that space months ahead. And we also usually schedule the forum a few weeks before the annual town meeting, because again, the last few years, there's usually an article on the town warrant to move clean energy forward. And we want to be able to educate voters about that and hope that they will vote for it at the town meeting. So we allowed much more space for displays and more time for the attendees to discuss with our volunteers. The displays were chosen to reflect a wide variety of sustainable energy efforts throughout the town. We had posters on climate change by the middle school students. We had a church listing their efforts, representatives from the New Hampshire Saves program, Twin Pine Housing, who is building energy efficient senior housing. We had an individual owner who was building a net zero home, information on community solar, and we had maps displaying where the town and individuals had installed solar. So about 100 people attended, and the presenters were again the town manager and Sustainable Hanover, but we also had the director of sustainability from Dartmouth College and from the town. And again, that was recorded and you can view it online. So again, in the fall of 2019, we planned ahead for the spring of 2020. Adding to the planning, we decided to have a keynote speaker, and we wanted to plan ahead and make sure that that speaker was available when the venue was available and prior to the town meeting. Once those things were in place, we went ahead and kind of set aside the planning until after the first of the year. But then in January, we started meeting in person every couple of weeks. And one tool we found particularly helpful was to create a Google document that everybody could access online. And that would really keep us on track with our planning and our to-do list and our calendar. And that was extremely helpful, and it's free and available to everyone. But alas, after 2+ months of planning, COVID came along and we ended up canceling. So we did not have a 2020 forum. But in early 2021, as we're doing tonight, we decided to have an online forum. So we scheduled an 1.5-hour time, and we worked very hard to keep the presentations flowing so they would keep the participants engaged. We were very fortunate to have a Dartmouth student who created short videos, and they highlighted a variety of sustainable efforts across the town. We interspersed these, we call them voices from the community. So between the keynote speaker, the town manager, and Sustainable Hanover, we had a variety of videos about sustainable efforts by businesses and the high school environmental club and individuals. Another technique that we found very helpful during the online presentation was the ability to poll the attendees. And we had 2 polls. One was to ask them what town they lived in and whether or not they had attended a similar event. And then we also asked them to rank interest in a whole list of sustainability topics. So the total online attendance was probably around 65 people, which was unfortunately lower than our in-person, but hopefully we'll get back to that. And again, it was recorded and that link is available. And I have no idea where I am on time, but that's all I planned for now.
Great, you are perfect because we are just out of time. I'm glad. Thank you again. Next, moving right along, we have Jeff from Rochester, Vermont, presenting on the Mo Electric Demo Day and a few other things. If Jeff, you're ready, and have at it.
I'm with the Valley Energy and Climate Action Committee that would be open to Granville, Hancock, Rochester, Stockbridge, and Pittsfield. Go ahead. A little background, I retired in 2020 after 28 years of utility scale energy efficiency program design and implementation. I've been appointed as Rochester's volunteer energy coordinator as of March 2020, and I'm leading the Valley Energy and Climate Action Committee, which is not a town affiliated committee. It's kind of handy. We don't have to deal with the open meeting law. We are open to everybody anytime. I'm also tasked to restart a Tri-Town Municipal Energy Committee. Next, please. The Valley Energy and Climate Action Committee shepherded the passage of the Climate Emergency Declaration at the Rochester Town Meeting in 2020, and that was really the first thing that the group has done. It contributes articles to the Herald of Randolph on efficiency, renewable energy, and climate change. And it operated a resource table providing energy efficiency information and to recruit new committee members at 5 Rochester farmers markets in 2020. We developed a lecture series as well in conjunction with the Rochester Public Library. In May, we conducted a cold climate heat pumps lecture with Efficiency Vermont presenting. In June, how your house works and what happens when it doesn't, again with Efficiency Vermont. And just recently, options for using the sun to power your home and business with speakers from Sun Common, Solaflect Energy, and several from the Bristol Community Solar Program. Upcoming August 18th and available for all, to attend for all, would be the Weatherization Services presentation by the Capstone Community Action Program. In May, we had a really fun project, and making things fun is a good way to keep committees together. The Mow Electric Commercial Mowing Demonstration Day. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And we will be conducting more resource tables at the Farmers Market and at the Valley Recycling Trash Day and Harvest Fair. The Recycling and Trash Day will give us a pretty diverse representation across at least the 3 towns in the Valley Energy and Climate Action Committee. We also hope to do an electric vehicle demonstration day, if not this year, next year. And I'm hoping we can do an old car, new car kind of approach to it. EVs are not new, and I'm getting some leads on owners of antique electric vehicles. Hopefully we can have them on display to draw additional people, as well as we hope to have a window dressers effort in Rochester and the Valley this next year. As an energy coordinator, I'm working with GMP on a resiliency zone. What that is renewable energy, battery storage, and controls that would be operated and owned by GMP. And it functions like an emergency generator, as well as enabling GMP to peak shave. We're in the midst of a building performance contractor audit, an analysis of the energy use by town buildings and services in preparation for future infrastructure grant funding applications. We want to be the first pig at the trough, I'm afraid. We're selected as the Vermont Council on Rural Development's Climate Economy Model Communities Program as their 2021 participant. And that brings to us expert community engagement facilitation services to help us identify and set community goals. We're also, as I said, I'm charged with restarting a Tri-Town Municipal Energy Committee with the towns of Hancock, Pittsfield, and Rochester. And now, just to give you a little bit more flavor of the Mow Electric demo day, this was a collaboration with the technical expertise in Steve Wisbaum and his Mow Electric campaign. Participating vendors included Mean Green Machine, Greenworks Commercial, and Gravely. For marketing, we developed a one-page flyer and we mailed it and/or emailed it to targeted businesses and municipalities, as well as posting it around town. We conducted telephone and email follow-up of those targeted businesses and towns. And we marketed it through nearby energy committees, VCAN promotion, Green Energy Times, the Herald of Randolph, I believe, and also with Vital Communities, Front Page Forum, Facebook, and there was additional outreach by the Mow Electric campaign as well. Over 40 mowing contractors and landscapers, cemetery commissioners, a golf course, and UVM attended. The vendors were very pleased with the amount of time that they had with attendees. And the attendees really got quite a bit out of it. We saw a lot of people doubting it when they arrived and leaving with new thoughts and possibilities in their heads. And one of the things we did to get folks there was to feed the contractors that you better do that or they're not coming. So my message is simply get something going and then keep stirring the pot. Good things will happen. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jeff. And next we have Lynn Bohi coming from Hartford, Vermont to talk about mobile home outreach. And Lynn, are you there? Sorry, I can't see.
I am.
Great.
Okay. Being responsible for maintaining your home is expensive. When we went from being renters to homeowners, we thought we were all set. Naive young people, no gray hair at that point. Then came the electric bill, the water and sewer bill, the oil bill, the leaky roof bill. We all have various these kinds of bills. Some of us have trouble paying all of those bills. Fortunately, there are social service and state agencies with programs to help meet those in need. Most of us know about and have participated in Efficiency Vermont's Button Up. There are more people out there that will help you. In 2018, Anna Meyer from Vital Communities got a grant to work with mobile homeowners. She came to a Hartford Energy Commission meeting to see if we thought it was interesting enough to do. She was working with Efficiency Vermont and Cover already about their weatherization and equipment replacement programs. She made sure we knew all about the programs and we set a date. Our energy coordinator mailed out a letter to everyone in one of our parks, telling the residents about the date and the purpose of our visit. We had 2 groups of 2 on a Saturday, handing out leaflets and answering questions. When no one was home, we left the leaflet, and then a group of 2 followed up the next week. Sevka and Listen both reported increased connections after our visits. We took a 2-month winter break and then did the same thing at another park. Then came the pandemic. No more door-to-door. Vital Communities changed the program and extended it to include the towns of Hartford, Thetford, Bethel, Norwich, Woodstock, and Sharon. Vital Communities again provided training and fact sheets for the volunteers, an online survey for residents, a brochure about what's available, and they mailed a letter with a brochure about the program. One of the survey questions asked if they would like to be contacted by a volunteer from their town energy group. Thus, we were not intruding. The programs included, and Anna, if you could do the brochure, 3 weatherization, 2 of which are statewide, 3 fuel assistance, 2 statewide, and other assistance in general, being electric from Green Mountain Power, a 504 federal home repair, general utility payments, and low-cost home audits. The brochure also contains information about qualifications, financial qualifications for each program. Vital Communities hosted a 1-hour Zoom call to answer all of our questions, and we all learned from each other's successes and problems. Vital Communities was serious about this being a 1-hour only call, but balanced that with our myriad of questions and stories. We in Hartford were responsible for 4 parks and had 66 residents. We had 20 who responded. So not great, but not bad. I was pleasantly surprised on the phone calls with homeowners how willing people were to share their stories. It made more sense to me when we were in person, but everybody seemed glad that somebody wanted to help. It probably also helped that we were so often talking about local agencies that they might have dealt with before. To be more helpful, I personally would write down from the survey what each person wanted, what the program was that they had interest in. And then I had the websites up in front of me before I called. And now you're going to ask me which one I think is better. Both had their merits and drawbacks. I like the in-personness of the door-to-door, but maybe I was more informative when I had the websites at my fingertips. I think I'd be interested in the data from the social service communities about which one was more effective. Ginevra and Tom were also on that from Woodstock and Thetford. And did I leave anything out in 30 seconds?
I think you did great.
And I apologize for not having the pamphlet to which Lynn referred. I will add that to our list of follow-up documents that we will share with you. Does that mean we're under time? I think so. All right, let me end my screen share and we can start our question and answers. Unless Sarah, you have anything else to say?
Nope, only just that, as I mentioned in the chat, take a moment and any questions that are coming up for our 5 speakers, just go ahead and type them in the chat. We'll answer as many as we can live here. And then if there's any we can't answer now, we'll answer them in writing and send them out to you. And Anna, there's a few questions in our document that you can pull from.
Yeah, quite a few. Thank you for your patience with me as I navigate multiple screens here. Let's start with a more general question, or let me go for Lisa. Lisa, we have a question about the solar work. Could these solar ambassadors get started even if people can't meet in person? Could they share their experiences via Zoom if needed?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. That's a great idea. When we started thinking about this, our last meeting, we had just started meeting in person, and now it's we're a little unsure how we're going to proceed, but that isn't, and we've been having Zoom meetings, so we could do that with the townspeople for sure. It's just hard. I've found it hard. The outreach it's hard to get people to participate. I mean, I put flyers all around and advertised what we were doing online or on the website, and I just have gotten, it seems like a lot of silence coming back at me. So I don't know if we could do that. We probably, we could host a program, an online program for sure. That's a good idea.
And it looks like some folks have already responded to the question in the chat, but in case any of our presenters wanted to add anything to it, we also had a question about folks' experience encouraging the establishment of solar arrays or farms in their towns and how they addressed not in my backyard concerns of residents. Does anybody from our presentation want to say anything about that?
Well, I guess I can speak. Thetford has a couple of community solar arrays that we did in cooperation with Stratford. And one of the criteria that was used was to try to make sure they were in locations where they could be pretty much hidden from the road and from neighboring properties. I don't know if that's very helpful, but it's something that I guess was in the planning process from the get-go. Was this question about individual solar or community?
I think it might have just been a more general question about either and the town reaction, if I understood correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, solar and just how towns are dealing with that potential opposition. But your solutions for
we have a question for Lynn. Is the grant program for energy efficiency in mobile home parks still available? And is your mobile home outreach project still ongoing? And how long will you stay at it?
I can't answer the first one. I'm going to leave that one for Sarah about the grant. I have actually, we're working with Norwich and Hanover on the window dressers program, and we were given 5 slots because we're going to want to have one of our own next year. And I actually used the surveys to reach out to some of the people. One of the questions was, how much fuel do you use? And so I went to the people who used the most amount of fuel and contacted them. Got one. Sarah, how about the grant?
Yes, so we do. And any of you who are in Vermont and part of the Energy Committee, an Energy Committee in Vermont, will be hearing from Anna and I. We have a grant to continue helping towns in Vermont do outreach to mobile home residents through June of 2022. So if you're interested in that, please be in touch. We will also be in touch with your energy committees. And so we can work with Windsor if you'd like, Diane.
We have a question for Lisa from Joanna. She's curious about the energy quiz that you had at Old Home Day. Could you share a little bit about that outreach?
Yes, that we one of our committee members did devise it, and to tell you the truth, it stumped us all. It was a little tricky. We were going to have them kind of, have them individual people take it, but we decided to be better just to put it on a poster and have people walk up and try to look at it. We tried to use questions that involve the town. How much energy do you think the town uses for this, and things like that. So we tried to relate it to the town as much as we could. We decided we would do it next year and make it a little easier.
Right. Jumping around to Jeff. We have a question. Are you aware of other electric mowing or leaf blower resources for a demo or virtual event? Mow Electric was too busy last time that they attempted to set that up.
I am not. I don't really have the technical expertise on that type of equipment. So Steve Wisbaum and the Mow Electric campaign were really critical to our ability to do that. It's possible, I suppose, to do it without the Mow Electric campaign through direct approach to the manufacturers and their distributors. The Mean Green products and Commercial Works products are distributed in Vermont by rental sales and rentals, Taylor Sales and Rentals, I think, in Middlebury anyway. So you're probably the only rental place in Middlebury. And Gravely is handled in Vermont by a firm up in Barry. Obviously, they're likely to be those same distributors in New Hampshire as well, but I just don't know where they are. You could go directly though to the distributors and sales agents for them.
Thank you. Tom, I know that some of this information is on your EV Ambassador website, which we will try to send everyone to in our follow-up emails. But John had a question, said, I'd love a more detailed description of the mechanism Tom uses to connect interested EV shoppers with the ambassadors and whether they track inquiries and follow up on them.
Sure. Yeah. So if one goes to the ambassador page on our website, there's a list of all the vehicles that people own. And if someone who owns a vehicle said they were willing to be an ambassador, their name is there. And you just click on the name and it will set up an email that you can send to them directly and start the conversation that way. And many ambassadors are willing to then meet you in person at a safe social distance if necessary, and talk to you about their vehicle. I have done a follow-up survey with the ambassadors to see what kind of response they've had or how many people that have talked to them. It's really at this point up to each ambassador how much follow-up they do with each individual inquiry. I haven't gotten to that depth of sophistication at this point. But generally, most ambassadors are having between 1 and 3 or even 0 inquiries so far. So it's pretty easy for them to track since we have so many ambassadors in a relatively small town.
Great. For everyone or anyone, any of our panel, Joanna asks, is anyone in New Hampshire, so I guess actually that narrows it down a bit, having trouble with towns taxing large commercial solar arrays to the extent that it becomes cost prohibitive for the developers?
Mm.
And I don't know, Sarah, Brock, Marjorie, do you?
I would just say, unfortunately, due to regulatory differences between our states, which we're all well familiar with, there are not a lot of commercial solar arrays in our state. Last year, we were able to direct Hanover residents to our first community solar array, which was located in Liberty Territory, but it was down in Charlestown, New Hampshire. And there has not been another one created in Liberty Territory that we're aware of. And part of it is just the regulatory issues and the financial challenges. So I guess we don't really have enough of a track record regarding how they are taxed, but we have, that's part of what we want to try and work on, is to ensure that to work toward more community solar, that those kind of financial barriers are eliminated. Sometimes you're going to have to take property out of community, what do they call it, conservation, and that does cost more money. So there just hasn't been a lot of experience with it. We've been working on it for a number of years, trying to find some land, and there are a lot of financial challenges and regulatory challenges. So hopefully it will get better.
And a follow-up question from Peter, what size array is considered commercial? Anyone can take that.
I don't think that a commercial entity would be interested in, and it wouldn't be profitable for them to construct anything less than a megawatt. And for a while they were limited in what they could construct. It was only within, I think, the last month that actually they could increase it to the 5 megawatt size. Again, that was part of the challenge, is making something only 1 megawatt, making it profitable for the developer, finding land that was available at a cost that would make it profitable. So now they can go up to 5 megawatts. I'm not that familiar with the actual, rates and how they will translate, but I still think it's a bit of a challenge for the developers to make it a financial go of it. But now at least they can go up to 5 megawatts.
Thank you. We have 3 minutes left in our timeline. Does anybody have any other final questions?
I would just add, Anna, that with all the discussion about ambassador programs, not to be a one-topic person here, but the Mo Electric campaign does have a good ambassador program on their website. Basically, it's a crowdsourced market demand building kind of thing. And the Rochester Public Library, which had an electric push mower, signed up and is an ambassador there. Good time to get the awareness out about that kind of thing is the first time anybody tries to start a gas mower every spring. I ran into people swearing and throwing tools, and just said, hey, go to the library and get an electric one. Then you'll want one for all the time.
Great.
Sarah and Anna, can you tell me if anyone from the Norwich Energy Committee is with us tonight? Because I thought that they were doing a little bit of a Mo Electric campaign over in Norwich, but I could be wrong. And I actually just hired this summer, I became aware of somebody who does residential lawns with electric equipment, which they say they charge on solar panels. They come all the way from Norwich, Vermont, and a number of us on the committee have hired them But I thought that Norwich was doing a little bit of campaign on Mo Electric. So
They may be.
I know that Norwich recently had a webinar with that vendor that you were just describing there, Marjorie, who spoke. And then I believe it's that vendor's partner also has a business to help you shrink your lawn in Great Meadow.
And she was at my house yesterday. They do very good work, and she's going to be coming back. And I would love to shrink my lawn. I should also mention that there is it's similar to the interior Roomba that you vacuum your floors with, but it cuts your lawn. And there's a distributor up in near Bradford, Vermont. It's Nancy Mallory, who runs the Green Energy Times. And that is a way, again, it's electric lawn cutting. It's been around for a while, and she's a distributor for that. A couple of years ago, Sustainable Hanover did try. We had one day, I think it was the 4th of July parade, we sort of pushed out Mo Electric, but unfortunately we just haven't gotten back to it. And part of that was we didn't have a lot of companies to refer people to cut either residential or commercial electric.
Well, I can't speak for Norwich, but I can say that we at Vital Communities will include information about those companies and whatever Mo Electric campaigns Norwich is in the middle of in the follow-up tomorrow. And with that, we might be towards the end. Sarah?
Sure. Thank you, Anna, and thank you, everyone. I've been tasked with just wrapping up briefly. I'm starting to see folks express appreciation in the chat, which I am so grateful for. In fact, I would invite all of us to just take a moment as I share these little wrap-up details to pop a note in the chat about something you're taking away, a note of appreciation. That's just a nice way to end the night together. And as John said in the chat a moment ago, this is almost as good as being in person, almost. So quick notes as we wrap up here. We are going to be sending you an email probably tomorrow, and it's going to be chock full of resources. So make sure you don't miss it. You'll see all of the video and resources, anything mentioned tonight, we will try our best to include. I would also just put a plug in for all of us. I was really inspired today with Sarah Jackson's question in the chat. Anyone having this issue with solar, and there was a little bit of collaboration and sharing happening kind of organically. If there is anything that you are working on the local level, whether it's Tom's ask about, hey, we want to do this ambassador program beyond electric vehicles, got any tips for us? Or is anyone else having issues with commercial solar and valuation in New Hampshire? Anything like that, I would encourage you to use the community energy discussion list. That's one of those listservs that you heard mentioned today. I'll make sure that you all are get a link. So if you're not currently subscribed, you can be. You can also just reach out to Anna and I directly. I love to put together and would love to do more putting together little lunchtime chats or impromptu virtual gatherings of energy committees all working on a similar type of thing so that we cannot reinvent the wheel and compare notes. So if there's ever a topic you would appreciate a chance to chat with others about, just let me know and I'm happy to help coordinate. I think that's about it. We do hope to host something in person for all of you and all of us in the spring, assuming that it's safe to do so. So until then, let's keep in touch. There are a couple of statewide conferences which will have opportunities to hear other stories from other regions, what's happening at the local level. There's a Local Energy Solutions Conference coming up in New Hampshire. There's a VCAN, Vermont Energy Climate Action Network Conference coming up in Vermont, and we will make sure you're aware of both of those and any others. And with that, we are at 8 o'clock. Thank you for the thoughts and thanks in the chat. It's been wonderful to see you, and have a really great evening.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah.
Bye.